Good morning all of you. In earlier topic we had discussed up to implantation. Today we are going to discuss about pregnancy and embryonic development. So after implantation, the confirmation of pregnancy takes place. When pregnancy confirmation takes place, once the embryo is going to be implanted, that is the indication of, that is the confirmation of pregnancy. So after implantation, what type of the modifications or takes place in the region of uterus and in the region of embryo? So after implantation, there is finger-like projections or appear on the trophoblast are called chorionic villi. After implantation, there is finger-like projections or appear on the trophoblast called chorionic villi. So what is trophoblast? Are you remembered? Trophoblast is the outermost layer of blastocyst, right? So there is a formation of chorionic villi is formed after implantation. There is a finger-like projections or appear on the trophoblast is called chorionic villi. So chorionic villi is surrounded by the uterine tissue and maternal blood. The chorionic villi is surrounded by uterine tissue because whenever the embryo tightly embedded in the region of uterus, inside the uterus, and chorionic villi is surrounded by the uterine tissue and maternal blood is nothing but the blood of mother, pregnancy mother. And the chorionic villi and uterine tissue become interdigitated with each other and jointly form a structural and functional unit between developing embryo and maternal body is called placenta. There is a structure is formed between chorionic villi and uterine tissue. There is a structure which is formed between developing embryo and maternal body is called placenta. So how the placenta formation takes place? The chorionic villi and the uterine tissue become interdigitated with each other and jointly formed a structural and functional unit between developing embryo, that is fetus, and the maternal body is called placenta. So placenta is the connection between developing embryo or fetus with mother's body. So what is placenta? The chorionic villi and uterine tissue become interdigitated with each other and jointly formed a structural and functional unit between developing embryo or fetus with and maternal body is called placenta. So what is the function of placenta? The placenta facilitate the supply of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo and also the removal of carbon dioxide and excretory material produced by the embryo. So the placenta is the connection between developing embryo and maternal body. The placenta facilitate the supply of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo. From where? From the mother. From the mother to the fetus, the nutrients and oxygen supply takes place through placenta and also removal of carbon dioxide and excretory material produced by the embryo. Whenever embryo receives nutrients and oxygen from the mother's body and from the uterus, and embryo releases, the developing fetus releases carbon dioxide and excretory materials. So carbon dioxide and excretory materials also process through the placenta, right? So what is the function of placenta? The placenta facilitate the supply of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo and also removal of carbon dioxide and excretory material produced by embryo, right? So there is a connection between placenta and embryo is called umbilical cord. The umbilical cord is the connectivity between placenta and embryo which helps in the transport of substances. So transportation of the oxygen and the nutrients from mother to the developing fetus and from the fetus to the mother, carbon dioxide and excretory material takes place through the umbilical cord. Umbilical cord connects between, it is a connectivity between placenta and embryo which helps in the transport of substances. Understand or not? Right, understood or not? Right. Umbilical cord is the connectivity between placenta and embryo, which helps in the transport of substances. So, placenta act as a endocrine gland and produces several hormones. So, here placenta function we already discussed. Placenta facilitate the supply of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo, and also removal of carbon dioxide and excretory material produced by the embryo, right? And the major function of the placenta is placenta act as endocrine gland and produces several hormones. The placenta act as endocrine glands. So, when placenta is formed at the time of gestation period. Gestation means at the time of embryonic development period. At that time, the placenta act as endocrine gland and produces several hormones. So, up to this clear all of you, right? So, I am repeating again. So, after implantation, the finger-like projections appear on the trophoblast called chorionic villi. So, what is chorionic villi? After implantation, the finger-like projections appear on the trophoblast is called chorionic villi, right? So, chorionic villi is surrounded by the uterine tissue and maternal blood. Chorionic villi is surrounded by the uterine tissue of the mother and the maternal blood. Maternal blood means the mother's blood. And what is placenta? The chorionic villi and uterine tissue become interdigitated, both are interdigitated and with each other and jointly form a structural and functional unit between developing embryo, fetus and maternal body is called placenta. There is a structural and functional unit is formed between a developing embryo and maternal body is called placenta, right? So, what is the function of placenta? The placenta facilitate the supply of oxygen and nutrients to the embryo. From where? From the mother, and also removal of carbon dioxide and excretory material from where to where? From developing fetus to mother, produced by the embryo, right? And what is the another function of placenta? Placenta act as endocrine gland and produces several hormones. So, what is the connectivity between placenta and embryo? Between placenta and embryo, there is umbilical cord is the connectivity. Umbilical cord is presented between placenta and embryo, which helps in the transport of substances. Up to this clear? Right. So, let us discuss regarding about placenta hormones, the hormones which are secreted from the placenta and functions. The placenta act as endocrine glands and secretes different types of the hormones. So, those hormones are the placental hormones. Which hormones are releases from the placenta? Placenta releases 4 different types of the hormones, majorly HCG, HPL, estrogen and progesterone. The placental hormones are HCG, HPL, estrogen and progesterone. HCG, human chorionic gonadotrophin. HCG, human chorionic gonadotrophin. HPL, human placental lactogen. HCG, human chorionic gonadotrophin. HPL, human placental lactogen, and estrogen and progesterone. Just you can observe here estrogen and progesterone which are releases from where? Are you remembered or not? Estrogen secretes from the ovary and progesterone also which is secretes from the corpus luteum of ovary after the ovulation. So, at the time of normal menstrual cycle, at the time of pregnancy also, estrogen and progesterone secretes from the placenta, not from the ovary. That point you need to remember. So, placental secretes hormones. What hormones are secretes by the placenta? HCG, human chorionic gonadotrophin. HPL, human placental lactogen, and estrogen and progesterone. After this clear, and along with this there is lot of There is number of hormones also secretes from the placenta. It is not given in NCERT textbook, so no need to discuss here.